Hello, everyone. Danielle here on October 21st, 2020. And this transmission is happening from southern France. And in 2012, I took a leap. I followed the calling of my soul, of my divine self, to move from Seattle to France and to move into southern France and the country on my Mercury line, the line of communication, writing, teaching, books, and all things Thoth, Thoth, Jehudi, the God of infinite knowledge, keeper of the Akashic records, and my beloved business partner and dear friend. And before moving to France, I had been very much immersed in all things Egypt and the initiations of Egypt, and was aware of the Magdalenes and Isis coming from Egypt to France. And I often wondered about this move and what it had to do with my insatiable desire for consciousness and for the developmental stages of consciousness as we move into higher states of awareness and unity, as we move from our third dimensional perspective in separation consciousness as identifying as body, mind, emotions, to that journey of realizing our divine selves. And all that is to say is that for the first few years, I wondered, because I didn't have a strong connection to Mary Magdalene, that my access point was more in ancient Egypt and Isis and the love lineages. And I've always had an affinity to Mary Magdalene in the sense of she also, like many of us, have been in the initiation chambers of Egypt. And I was also curious as to why the place that we moved wasn't the sacred sites that were on most of the tours of southern France, although I have journeyed to them again and again and again and brought many groups since moving in 2012. And one time, I remember being in Alet-les-Bains and actually going to Rennes-les-Bains and walking up to the seat of Isis and going even higher on this mountain and this hill and this magical forest to this beautiful place called the Trembling Rocks. And upon sitting on these rocks, and I've had many experiences and magical memories and ceremonies with groups in these trembling rocks, I remember sitting in this one rock that was like a lounge chair. The rocks there and the seat of Isis, the seats there, always reminded me of like these cockpit pits of interdimensional vessels that we would travel in. And almost like the rocks themselves were these light beings and these love beings that came to Earth, to the Earth star, with stored information. And I've always been like cuckoo over rocks. I love the stones in Egypt. I love the stones in the mountains. And they are record keepers. They are storage keepers. And one time, as I was sitting in this lounge chair, this cockpit spaceship uh, seat, I heard this message from the galactic Magdalenes, from the love lineages, that there was a body of work that Magdalene was given the possibility to bring forward and decided not to. And that it was placed on the altar for me to pick up. And at that time, I was like, okay. And I always trust the guidance. I'm always discerning. Yet I have enough experience that even though that sounds, that may sound out of this world or could bring up the filter of a body of work that was given to Magdalene as a possibility to bring forward is now being placed on the altar for me. And that track of who am I and all those kinds of things, which I don't usually go on. Yet as I'm saying it, it seems like, wow, okay, yeah. And yet at the time, I just still couldn't really, I didn't have my seat in the Magdalene line. There wasn't this sense of it's a now time. And slowly bringing groups, offering the divine light activations on these sacred sites and in France, also close to my home, and creating new temples of light and love with all the beautiful beings that have journeyed in person and also virtually to France to work together with Thoth and the different beings of light, the councils of light, the councils of love. Slowly, the Magdalenes would make their appearance. And I remember one time being close to the mountain of La Baume, Saint Maximin La Sainte Baume. And we were at this beautiful retreat center and the group, and there was this barn that has this beautiful wood patio. And this retreat center is really like a slice of heaven on earth. It's like, I don't know how many acres, 700 acres or something crazy that they have. And it was pouring down rain. We were sitting in these beanbag chairs and these different seats, and there was a transmission, and the transmission was within a divine light activation transmission. And the Magdalenes came forward and they brought forward this Magdalene molecule, and it happened with a few different groups that, like, these breadcrumbs would just pop in. And I wasn't ready. It wasn't the now moment. There are gestation cycles with our evolution in consciousness. There's gestation cycles with bodies of work. And at the end of 2019, even before that, so fast forwarding here from 2012 until 2019, my time in France, so much has evolved and shifted. And so many beautiful things have happened. And so many of my illusion lies have come back in the wholeness, back in the oneness, back in the source from which it came. So many past life bleed throughs and fears of persecution and getting it wrong and being killed and all those things that many of us leaders, multidimensional leaders in consciousness, have faced and continue to move forward with them, even though they get less and less and less. And Thoth started talking to me about the all of the light that we've been bringing in. And light is everywhere in the bodies of work that I've partnered with Thoth and the Council of Light to birth. The books, the trilogy, although they each stand alone, yet the trilogy of light, the temples of light, the council of light, the tablets of light, divine light activation, that is one of my all-time favorite and most potent bodies of work. If there is like one body of work I could take to the moon, it would be the divine light activation. Really this process, and that started coming in at 2016 of embodying our light beings and reincarnating as light beings. And Thoth was sharing with me about how there's this pivot, in addition to all of the light work and all of the bodies of work around light. Light is in source consciousness. That now what reaps the benefit or brings to fruition or absorbs it even more, all that light, is love. And that the shift in consciousness from separation, survival, tribal consciousness, the Piscean age of the solar plexus into the heart, the Aquarian age, the great shift, unity consciousness, multi-D, whatever you want to call it, is about moving into the heart. And the heart includes, and the heart is receptive, and the heart is also our bandwidth. It's our reach. It's the horizontal plane. And so there was this awareness for me personally as well, that my next evolution in consciousness for what I'm up to requires more love and the opening of the heart and that energy of all of this higher wisdom and light and consciousness and all these beautiful roots that we have and that we've created. And I know for me, I have very strong roots and very strong branches, that it all requires love. And Thoth and the Magdalenes have been sharing with me over and over and over again that love is what light workers are asking for. Love is what we require for everything that we have been anchoring onto the Earth Star, to have the vessels, to have the nets to catch them. And in February of 2020, I returned to Egypt again with a group of adepts, and it was a Magdalene journey of divine light activation graduates, and more of the codes of love started dropping in. And I downloaded this initial love conception introduction on the boat floating down the Nile. And my personal choice. And yeah, the tears are flowing here at the Sphinx and beyond, of placing this cornmeal, these crystals on the altar, to open my heart even more. And that Magdalene means adept, and that once all the initiations are done, and there's always more, Yet it's how we move out into the world. It's how we share what it is that we have to share. And I remember so clearly on my 50th birthday on the Nile, this is my 50th birthday trip, how after we'd gone to so many temples and had these beautiful ceremonies and our inner Niles running of tears down our faces and just all the beautiful co-creation as a council, all the slower vibrations and the higher vibrations and everything in between. Egypt is just epic and really entering into the portal of the depths. That there was this evening for my birthday where there was so much love that was brought forward, that so many gifts and so much pouring of love from those who journeyed to Egypt to 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 co-create this beautiful journey from my beloved Friedemann. How many amazing gifts he created, and that our long-term friend and magician behind the scenes, Hatem, and his wife, that on that day, Hatem traveled for hours to come and celebrate this birthday celebration, as he was leading another group. And I don't remember, but it was like he had zero sleep. He drove for 4 hours to be there to celebrate. And we were docked at Edfu, and there he wanted to do something special. So there were these Sufi dancers that came from Philae that also drove hours, and these beautiful cakes and flowers and gifts and compliments, and like it was just this extraordinary day, this extraordinary transition from my 40s, and the 4 is love, into my 50s, the 5. And we danced until 3 or 4 in the morning and laughed and had fun, and the gifts just kept on coming and coming and coming, physical gifts and the gifts of love. And I realized that although I was open to receiving, that at one point it was like there wasn't any more space in my energetic system to receive more love. That I have been also comfortable in the role of giving, of transmitting. And of course, receiving is a part of everything that I do. It's a part of the embodying Thoth and the channeling and all of that. Yet the bandwidth to receive, not based on anything that I had done, yet to just receive, was like at a cap. And I also really had a dear friend as well, who happened to be a heart math coach. And so I've been doing heart math with her. She was like, hey, do you want to find out more about this? And using my monitor to come into more heart resonance. And so there were just all these signs along the way that in order to anchor even more light that's in the higher planes, the love is required. And that just like the Ankh, that there's the vertical column of the Ankh and the horizontal plane of the Ankh, and there's the loop. And from my perspective, it is more like this infinity loop, like two infinity loops of more like a flower that and multidimensional. And yet my vertical column and many of our vertical columns and divine light activation really supports with this are kicking it, are strong. And now it's time to open up to even more love. And so when COVID happened and we were homebound, which to be honest wasn't that different than how we usually live, as we live in the middle of the country and we have horses, and so blessed already to have this beautiful online business. And yet I really had this like kick in the pants of now it's time. It's always been time. And yet everything that we've been preparing for, now it's time. And so one chapter came in of the codes of love, another code of love came in, and this is all happening as well alongside with the Ascended Mastery Academy, the Ascended Mastery lineage, where Thoth really partners with those that are a part of this group, this lineage, to birth their legacy work and to birth these bodies of work. And so alongside of the group creating card decks and programs and books, I was also downloading my own, and they just came in, and the codes of love came in, and the codes of love came in, and the codes of love came in. And then this beautiful card deck, and partnering with one of the women who's a part of the lineage of Thoth, the scribes of light lineage of Thoth, with the images and the love language, the glyphs, the images. And now it's time. Now it's time. The gestation, the ready or not, here we come kind of thing is happening. And so here we are. It's October 21st, and the codes of love are being born, 1111, with a group of 18, a council of 18, who also have a part of this larger galactic Magdalene lineage, who also are a stand for creating more through receiving more. And that the love codes and the Magdalene love codes are really turning on your love body and utilizing, leveraging, for lack of a better word, the multidimensional planes, the higher planes, that all that light to be able to expand. And what expands the divine, what expands the extraordinary is different in unity consciousness than in separation consciousness. To be able to expand, to bring in more of our connection to source every day, and to stabilize that connection, and then to expand it without the 3 steps forward, 5 steps back dynamic, and to be able to receive more, not out of any insecurity or fear or lack or doubt or having to prove, yet to receive more because it is, it's a birthright. It's the divine nature, and to feel safe to receive more and to widen the bandwidth to receive more and to stabilize all the expansion that we've co-created together, and then be ready to expand again. And so this love codes, these Magdalene love codes, the galactic Magdalenes are placed on the altar. And the invitation to join us is there. If you sense that this is yours. Now, it isn't for everyone. And I'm not just saying that, it really isn't for everyone. First of all, there's only 18 spots, and half of those have been snapped up in the first 12 hours of announcing this, or 24 hours or something like that. And it's also very particular to those that have a sense that it's yours. And also those that have been highly ambitious, high performing, high achieving, dialed in spiritual beings that already know how to manifest, that already are manifesting extraordinary things in the physical plane and also in the higher planes, and yet doing it from a lot of efforting. So it's not only the feminine energy, because Thoth and the Magdalenes are always about the sacred union, and yet it is also about the multidimensional manifesting, the multidimensional abundance, to generate abundance from the energy of abundance in the areas that you're most aligned with, in the areas that matter the most for you simultaneously. So not trading one form of abundance for another, like all your time for money, or time with yourself or your beloved or your family or your friends, or doing what you love, or your kids, and sacrificing that for your mission. It's really this new paradigm way of multi-D abundance, and this multi-D abundance method that the Magdalenes are sharing with us. And it does work a ton with the replenishing energies, with multidimensionality, with your being state. And that's also why it works particularly well with those of you who already are engaged in inspired action. And it's not that you sit and visualize, because the more, from my experience, the more you are in alignment and on your path as a being of love and a being of light, the more engaged you are with life and contribution. And so this isn't a shortcut in the sense of or a cutting off of the physical plane or the higher planes. It really is all of it working together with the beautiful open heart energy. So I'm really overjoyed, and as you can tell, really touched by these Magdalene love codes. And so placing this invitation, putting out the call for those of you that sense that you have a seat as a Magdalene, as an adept on this council of love. So sending each of you so much love and appreciation, and thanking you for your devotion, for all that you are up to, whether this is a match for you or not, whether this is for you or not. Just know that I am celebrating you, and know that it really takes all of us. And it takes all of us being in our seat and saying yes to the things that are yeses for us, and saying no to the things that are no's for us. And so thank you for taking the time to tune in and to hear this behind the scenes journey, and my journey with the Magdalenes, the galactic Magdalenes, the Magdalenes past, present, and future. So sending you much love and appreciation. Bye for now.